Shannon es muy obsesiva over Kelly because Kelly thought that Shannon was making agua. Shannon would never make agua when her friend was also making agua. This would be very, very malo. Una cosa muy mala. She would never do this. She's making, as we know, a tincture. A tincture. Not a sphincter, Kelly. A tincture. Drops that you put in water, which Kelly completely understands. But Shannon's OCD is just, wow, it's exploded through the ceiling. So, yeah, welcome to another recap of The Real Housewives of Orange County, Season 15. Ooh, Episode 7, Renewals and Regrets. Okay. I kept saying, gee, I really want to know more about Elizabeth. I want to know more about Elizabeth. And we get a lot more about Elizabeth. Well, let's say Elizabeth gets a lot more camera time in this episode, but we still don't really necessarily understand more about Elizabeth because her situation is quite confusing. All right, so as I've mentioned, Shannon is all OCD over Kelly in the water, and she's worried about this and that, and she's gonna hang on to it like a dog with a bone. Like a dog with a bone. Sean and Bronwyn, over on the other side of the room, look very satisfied. They look very happy with their vow renewal, which is nice. Whatever you want to say about their relationship, if it works for them, it works for them. And in that moment, they look happy. So Kelly tells Shannon, shh, look, dude, I understand. I get it. Dude, I know you're not, I understand you told me you're not making water. I get it. And Shannon is, yeah, but when you walked up to me, it was not nice. You were not nice. It was not nice, Kelly. It was confrontational, Kelly, and this was not acceptable. So she is going to, kind of continue to chew on this. And, she does mention that that's kind of Kelly's way. She just goes right in and then figures it out later, because she did when she came up with Kyle, with her water guy, her water friend. She was kind of going in upset. Let's face it, she was. Shannon's right. But Kelly is the queen of apologies. That's her thing. She apologizes, and she apologizes really sweetly. No one would use the word sweet for Kelly except when she's apologizing. Then she becomes adorable just in that moment. So people fall for it every time. Okay, now we're having a reception because we haven't paid enough money. So when I said this thing could be 150,000, I'm going to go with 150,000 now, because now we've got also the whole, the meal, the booze, I'm sure this was extremely costly, and I don't know if this were Bronwyn on her own without Bravo. I don't know how much of this Bravo would pay for. I don't think they're that generous. I actually think Bronwyn and Sean did pay for this. Now the question is, did they pay for everyone's accommodation? Because those are some $2,000 a night bungalows the ladies are staying in. So that would be interesting. All right. Shannon's daughter is watching Shannon drink. They all go back to the room between the renewal ceremony and the reception, and Shannon's number one priority is mas tequila. I need a lot of tequila. There won't be any tequila. No tequila. No tequila. No bueno at the reception. So she starts kind of just throwing back the tequila in the room. And, so is John, but John clearly can hold his liquor better than Shannon. Anyway, so while she's there kind of pre-medicating, as we say, before we go out, we pre-medicate, or pre-game, if you like. Some people use that expression. Shannon's youngest daughter, Adeline, says, this renewal was more fun, basically. This renewal was more fun than yours and Dad's. Oy. Oops. Yeah. Shannon starts crying. John is really sweet. He handles this really sweet. I mean, he could take it kind of the wrong way because basically, you know, it's like, oh, is she mourning the end of her old marriage and the fact that it didn't work out with David and he left her for someone else, and you know, but instead he's really kind of, yeah, he comforts her, and I'm starting to think he might be a good guy. He might be a good guy. You know, he's you kind of have to get used to them. They have to be around a little bit. But I think that he might be good for her. So hopefully she's still not hung up on David, because she needs to let that go. Because that guy is just kind of, he's just kind of weird. I don't know. Anyway, okay. So at the reception, Gina is not drinking because she promised Bronwyn she would be a sober buddy there if Bronwyn needed someone, and she's sticking up to it. Okay, on the other hand, we have Shannon, who shows up late to the reception. Muy borracha. Muy borracha. Drunk. And they're also carrying their tequila drinks in. Now, granted, they don't know, people don't know if they're drinking tequila or water, but I think you just have to look at Shannon for 5 seconds to realize she's hammered. She's off her balance. She's slurring her speech. She's drunk on tequila. Okay. She comes over and says hi to Emily and Gina, and she's like, hi. And they're like, oh, Shannon has had a little tequila. Oh, okay. Well, Shannon, good for you. Good for you. You do you, Shannon, says Gina. Not really, just in my imitation. Okay, maybe she's also this hammered because she's thinking about the renewal with David, and that's upsetting her, because it does have to be heartbreaking to do something like that where he tells her he wants to be with her for another 50 years and then everything goes so wrong right after. And remember, he surprised her with that, if I'm not mistaken. So the whole thing was really a big gesture on his part right before he dumps her. So, all right, Shannon has a lot of room for a lot of different, there are many rooms in her OCD house. She can obsess on several different things at the same time. She's a champion at OCD. She's still got her OCD room wide open over Bronwyn saying that she called Gina's townhouse sad and depressing. She's still talking about that, and she brings it up again to Gina, and Gina's like, I need you to stop. Just stop, okay? It's enough. It's enough, Shannon. It's enough. Okay. Elizabeth and Jimmy are kind of hanging out, and Jimmy's in the background. He's very shy. Elizabeth says they don't even make out, like they kissed only once early on. Her story with Jimmy is going to change 50 times. It's never the same. So we're all confused because she's not telling us the straight story. We don't know what's going on. Okay. Now, oh, Shannon drunkenly approaches Bronwyn's children, the older ones, Rowan and Jacob. You kids, oh my God, I love you kids. You guys are amazing. I'm so happy for you. It didn't work out well for me. Wait, I should do drunk Shannon. You know, it didn't. I can't slur and do, because the thing is, Shannon's voice is very crisp. It's very staccato. It's muy sharp. So I can't actually do drunk Shannon, but I'm going to work on it. I will work on it, and I'll get back to you on that. So Shannon drunkenly approaches the kids, and she's like, you know, oh, this was such a beautiful renewal. I had a renewal, but it didn't really go so well for me. You know, just she's just dumping all over these poor kids, stumbling and slurring her words, and they're like, I guess. They look a little confused. Okay, now she goes after Kelly, and she's going to go back into another room in her house of OCD, which is, of course, the Kelly blaming her for having her own water, when in fact it's a tincture. It's a tincture. And Kelly's like, dude, you're drunk. Are you drunk? Okay, P.S. When Kelly calls you out on being drunk, you're in trouble. Oh, yeah. Shannon lies and says, and for someone who says she never ever lies, I guess she only lies when she's drunk, because she says, I am not drunk. I am not drunk. And I did not drink tequila. I'm working on the drunk Shannon. Elizabeth is weird, going back to Elizabeth. Yeah, she says, you know, over and over again, we don't have sex, but then she says randomly, hey, maybe Jimmy should whip out his big Mexican penis. Or maybe he just said Mexican penis and I threw in the big. I don't know. But she says this to all the girls. Maybe he should whip out his Mexican penis. Okay. Now the story again keeps changing. She says, oh, well, now they did have sex. And then she first said they had sex before he knew she was married. But now she says, no, he knew I was married when we had sex. Why is she being so weird and contradictory? Does it have to do with, I mean, it can't be, because divorces are no fault. You can't have, of course, I think this is from some weird, it's not from California. Didn't they live someplace else? I don't know where the divorce is actually being adjudicated. I don't know if it's being in California or someplace else. But in California, for example, and in Florida, these are no-fault states. You can't get in trouble for sleeping with someone during divorce proceedings. It doesn't matter, like, oh, her husband's not going to give her as much if he finds out she's been sleeping with somebody. That shouldn't matter. But then in a little bit, we're going to find out that this whole relationship between her and her ex-husband is still weird. They're not just going through lawyers, they're talking to each other. So I don't know. So it could have something to do with that. Maybe she wants to keep him nice. She wants him to be as nice as possible and offer as much as possible on his own. On the other hand, she's already told us this is an ugly, hideous divorce. So, Elizabeth, we're not really reading you because you're not giving us anything to read but a book of scribbles, basically. All right. Wow, Elizabeth blurts out that she really regrets choosing money over children. Ooh. Okay. Then she tells them that she's been talking to Jimmy about freezing her eggs. Book of Scribbles. Elizabeth's Book of Scribbles. Let's see if it starts to kind of turn into letters that we can read, but for right now it's a big book of scribbles. Okay, now Shannon comes over to Bronwyn and does the drunken Shannon thing all over Bronwyn. She lies again. She's, you know, I want you to know, I've only had one drink. The hand would get a little bit floppier because she's been drinking. She's muy borracha. And then she makes a Freudian slip and she says, I'm gonna go be with my husband now. Oops. No. I think she was thinking in her mind about David. I don't think she was thinking that John was her husband. I think she was thinking about David. Okay, Bronwyn takes this whole thing really well. She's not insulted that Shannon got shit-faced drunk in front of her. She really seems to be calming down about other people drinking. Or maybe Bronwyn's just so happy. She's just had a really beautiful day, so nothing could, you know, get to her. And she says she just feels so good about making up with Shannon, that she feels like we're in a great place. No, actually, you're not. Shannon is still pissed off that you said that she called Gina's frickin' townhouse frickin' sad and depressing. We're gonna have to hear about this for the entire season, aren't we? And then we're gonna have to hear about the water with Kelly, the tincture, all freaking season. Okay, oh my God, I've picked up drunken Shannon just in time because we have a Shannon Bedore classic moment here. It's a Shannon classic, and that is Shannon speaking bad, drunken Spanish. Let me clarify that. Shannon has a certain level of Spanish vocabulary and grammar, but she has the Shannon Bedore accent, which makes it muy malo. Su español es muy malo con un acento muy americano. She speaks it with this strong, flat American accent. But let's give her credit for knowing the vocabulary and the grammar. She's clearly spent time and energy into, learning the language. But the problem is you have to have the brain to learn the language, but then you also have to have the ear to get the accent, the sound, the rhythm, all of those things. Okay, so drunken bad Spanish means that it is Shannon's bad Spanish, and on top of that, she's had 7 tequilas. So there is this poor housekeeper in the room kind of picking things up, and Shannon is starving. She's probably been drinking nothing but tequila. She didn't eat anything, I don't think, at the reception. So she's looking at these plates of food they'd ordered a long time ago, and they haven't picked them up yet. And John's like, can you guys clean this stuff away? But Shannon's like, she's really hungry, so she starts to kind of pick off the plate different things and stick them into her mouth. And then she's like to the housekeeper, she goes, ¿Tú piensas que esta comida sería fresca después de 4 horas? Sorry, I wasn't drunk enough. ¿Tú piensas que esta comida será fresca después de 4 horas? ¿Esta pieza es bien fresca? ¿Tú piensas? It's great. It's so awesome. Those of you who speak Spanish really will appreciate this so much because it's great. I love it. I love it. I love it. And again, all props to Shannon for actually, speaking Spanish and not just what I call housekeeper Spanish, which is how to yell at your housekeeper and tell her what to buy at Gelson's. Okay. Anyway, she's clearly trying. All right, now, next morning, Gina, Bronwyn, and Emily go to an AA meeting. Emily says she wants to understand Bronwyn's situation better. So she's never been to an AA meeting. She's not an alcoholic, but she thinks it would be interesting. And again, she wants to understand. Maybe she also thinks it would help her understand Gina's situation a little better, even though I don't think Gina's a fall down drunk major alcoholic, but she did have, because of the DUI, she had mandated AA meetings for a certain amount of time. So part of me, I'm thinking, wow, that is a really good friend, Emily, that she's saying she wants to understand Bronwyn better. But then right after that, she still says, I still find Bronwyn really annoying. So it's like they're not that close. And to me, going to an AA meeting is like, I would really have to love someone to do that for them. I mean, God bless AA. God bless AA. Saved my brother's life. Okay. All right. Okay, now we're going to learn more about Elizabeth, kind of. Anyway, we're definitely going to learn more about how she feels about her divorce, which helps kind of put the pieces together. Okay, so she calls her mother, and she is completely heartbroken about the divorce. Now, apparently the reason why the divorce is really on her mind is because her and her ex-husband built a dream house in Palm Springs, and it was going to be their forever house. And I guess it's very close to the park or to the hotel where they're staying. So, yeah, she's kind of like, I want my house back. She wants some of that life back, I think. The jets and the yachts, and I think she wants some of that life back. On the other hand, she's so contradictory because part of her is like, I want that life back. I want, all of that, but I hate it that I married for money. Okay, I would say to Elizabeth, if she were my friend, do not beat yourself up, and here's why. You're from hillbillies. You told us that. You called yourself a hillbilly, and we saw pictures of you growing up, what was it, in the Ozarks? And that is a level of poverty that is extreme. So she grew up in that real, government subsidy, cheese, food stamps, everything very difficult, everything being a huge challenge just to get by every day. And then suddenly she had a chance at the brass ring, I need to go look up this guy again. Maybe he wasn't bad looking. He was older, but you know, he could have been like a distinguished older guy who really made her feel like a princess. And then he offers her the world. She has had nothing and she has struggled her entire life. She's seen all the women around her have child after child after child and struggle to raise those children because they're so poor. Maybe if he comes to her with an offer and says, I will give you the world. But he says, I'm going to give you everything for the rest of your life. I just don't want you to have children. No kids. You have to give up having kids. And again, she looks at her family life and the little shitty town she grew up in, and she looks at the women with 6 babies who are all struggling to get by and, you know, looking in the cushions of the sofas for diaper money. And she says yes. Why would you beat yourself up for that? That is a normal thing to say. And it doesn't make you a prostitute if you know, actually, if you also think this guy's interesting, it's somebody you want to be with, you feel like he's your prince and he's going to take you away from everything. She should not beat herself up over that. She calls her mom and talks to her, and she's going over all this, and she said, you know, the judge is making me feel like a gold digger, like I'm just trying to squeeze as much money out of him as I can in the divorce. So she's extremely, extremely conflicted. But I think that the most important clue they gave us about Elizabeth, before we judge her about any of this, was the Ozark upbringing. That's real hillbilly stuff. That's, what was that movie, Winter's Bone? Yeah. Ooh, see that movie if you want to see what kind of life those people are leading. So she had a chance to go from just a pit to the heavens. She took it. Okay, now all the ladies meet and they sit by the pool, and now we're getting all their brilliant predictions about Miss Rona. So far there's been 30 deaths. Of course, Kelly thinks it's nothing. We know that. We know that. And Elizabeth is like, oh no, it's going to be over in 60 days. It's a conspiracy. They're going to want to sell us vaccines or medication. It's not real. Oh, and then during all this, we find out that Bronwyn's twins have lice. Just throwing that in. Just like, okay. All right. Look, apparently even posh Orange County families get lice because Shannon rattles off the name of some company like Lice Masters, and that she has an account there. Her girls had lice so many times from school. I went to public school in Orange County and I never got lice. Anyway, okay. Now, Elizabeth shares to the ladies in her own confusing way about her divorce. Now that it's almost here, it's supposed to tie up in the next month, she's feeling very emotional. She said that she talks to her soon-to-be ex-husband a lot, but she chose to divorce him. He was cheating on her. I mean, okay, I guess he didn't technically leave her for this other woman, but he was consistently, you know, cheating with her, and basically this woman was in his life and he wasn't going to get rid of her. So she was like, no, let's get divorced. I don't want this. If it's so nasty and the whole thing was so hostile, why do they talk? And that's what the other ladies want to know. Why, if you're telling us this is the world's ugliest divorce, why are you and he talking and writing to each other and texting to each other? Emily, the attorney, is like, you should not be doing this. This is a terrible idea. You should not have any communication with him. Let the lawyers talk. That's what you do in a big divorce like this. You never have personal contact with the person. And then, oh God, very recently, I don't know if it was the day before or sometime very recently, I think it was probably the day before, because she was, you know, had that house in Palm Springs down the street on her mind, being at the Parker Hotel. She wrote to him that she regrets the divorce. You know, at this point, that's not good. What does she think is going to come out of that? She wants him to apologize. She thinks that this is going to spark some big apology from him about cheating. And what will that do? I don't know. You know, so this does tell us that there was some love there. This wasn't just about money. The fact that she cares, that she wants to be in contact with him, and the fact that she wants him to apologize. Or is it that she wants to go back to that life? Because the life of being married to him, would probably be lived on a higher level than just being his ex-wife. Even though she could get a great settlement, still it wouldn't be the same level that she was living with him. So it could either be that she loves him or it's greed. I think there's some love there in a weird way. She's, you know, scribbles, book of scribbles. She's very hard to read. Okay, you know, she already has enough money, she says, regardless of what happens in the next month. She already has enough money to last forever. So the ladies are just like, walk away. You just need to walk away. You know, and Gina says, you know, you're not really walking away with nothing. You are getting some money out of it. And, you know, you're not divorced yet. You're in this limbo, but you need to get over it. You need to stop obsessing about it. It's all you're talking about. We're all tired of hearing about it. Okay, and then next week is when we all get to relive those wonderful early days of Miss Rona kind of climbing up to the point where it comes in and smashes all of our lives and plans and families in so many ways. So yeah, that's going to be next week. But anyway, this was a very interesting episode. I do feel like we learned more in a strange, convoluted way about Elizabeth. Shannon was quite amusing. Oh, I forgot to mention we had a cute Shane moment in there too. See, I see you, Shane. I see you being funny in the background. I see you. My suspicions are definitely correct. You're a fun guy who just originally did not want to be on camera and was shy and didn't know how to act on TV. I think he's a fun guy, and I do see what Emily sees in him. So there. All right, I'm so happy that you could join me. Thank you so much for subscribing, liking, leaving comments. You know, I'll always get back to you. And I want you to be very careful, and I want you to be good, but not too good. And remember, I love you guys. Bye.